Sarah, the siren Jenkins, moved with a powerful grace, even when she was just walking. In the ring, she was a whirlwind of muscle and strategy, a rising star in the cutthroat world of WWE. Her athleticism was undeniable, her persona fierce, earning her a growing legion of fans. But beneath the tough exterior, Sarah was battling something far more challenging than any opponent: intense pressure. Every match felt like a fight for survival, a desperate attempt to hold on to her spot in an industry that chewed up and spit out talent at an alarming rate. Lately, the wins hadn't come as easily. A few recent losses had cast a long shadow over her career, and the whispers had started. Her job, the very thing she dedicated her life to, felt like it was hanging by a thread. This uncertainty had seeped into every corner of her life, fueling a gnawing anxiety and a constant self-doubt that she struggled to shake off. It was a dark, rainy night, the kind where the sky seemed to weep endlessly. Sarah was driving her car, the wipers working overtime to clear the deluge from her windshield. She was on her way home after a particularly brutal training session, every muscle aching, every nerve frayed. The session hadn't gone well. Her focus had been off, her moves sloppy. The dejection was a heavy weight in her chest, making the long drive feel even longer. The suburban streets were slick and deserted, the streetlights casting blurry halos in the downpour. As she rounded a corner, her headlights cut through the gloom and caught a figure on the side of the road. An elderly man, hunched against the wind, struggling to walk. He was drenched, his thin jacket plastered to his frame, and the umbrella he held was a mangled mess of fabric and snapped ribs, offering no protection from the relentless rain. Sarah's first thought was to keep driving. Her mind raced with all the reasons why she couldn't stop. She was exhausted, physically and mentally spent. She needed to get home, to decompress, to try and regroup before the next day's grind. Her career was on the line, and every spare moment felt like it should be dedicated to fixing her problems, not stopping for strangers in the rain. The fatigue was a lead blanket, making the idea of any extra effort feel impossible. But as she drove past, a sudden, powerful surge of empathy hit her. The image of the old man, so vulnerable and alone in the storm, tugged at something deep inside her. It was a fleeting thought, a simple human instinct that cut through all her professional worries. Without really thinking, she slowed down, checking her rearview mirror. The man was still there, a lone, struggling silhouette. She pulled over to the curb a little further up the road. Taking a deep breath, Sarah switched off the engine and stepped out into the downpour. The rain instantly soaked her clothes, but she barely noticed. She walked back towards him, the sound of the rain drumming loudly around them. "Excuse me," she called out, trying to make her voice heard over the weather. The man stopped, turning slowly, his eyes wide, with a mix of surprise and caution. "Are you all right? You look soaked. Can I give you a ride?" she offered, trying to sound as friendly and non-threatening as possible. She noticed how frail he looked up close, his face lined with age, his hands trembling slightly. The rain was coming down harder now, and the thought of him continuing to walk in it was unbearable. He hesitated for a moment, his gaze assessing her. "I'm Sarah, by the way," she added, offering a small, reassuring smile. He nodded slowly, a hint of relief washing over his face. "Thank you," he mumbled, his voice raspy. "That would be very kind." He carefully climbed into the passenger seat, shaking off some of the water. Sarah handed him a small towel she kept in the car for training, and he gratefully accepted it, dabbing at his face and hair. "Where are you headed?" she asked, pulling back into the street. Just a few blocks down, he replied, pointing vaguely ahead. To the old library. He introduced himself as Arthur. He told her he walked to the library every day, a routine he cherished, a place where he could read and escape the quiet of his home. Sarah listened, her initial hesitation replaced by a genuine interest. She noticed the quiet dignity about him, the simple beauty of his daily ritual. It was a stark contrast to her own world, a world of flashing lights, roaring crowds, and constant pressure. His calm presence was a balm to her frantic thoughts. She felt a small, unexpected peace settle over her. When they reached his house, a modest bungalow with a small, well-tended garden, Sarah ensured he got to his doorstep safely. He tried to offer her some money, a crumpled bill he pulled from his pocket, but she gently waved it off. "No need, Arthur. Just glad I could help." He smiled, a genuine, warm smile that reached his eyes. "Thank you again, Sarah. You're a kind soul." As Sarah drove away, the rain finally beginning to ease, an unexpected sense of calm washed over her. The encounter had been brief, a small detour in her otherwise chaotic day, but it had left a profound mark. Her act of kindness, though simple, had momentarily overshadowed all her professional worries, all the anxiety about her career. It had quieted the critical voices in her head, if only for a short while. She found herself thinking about Arthur, wondering about his life, the stories hidden behind those kind, tired eyes. In that moment, she felt a connection, a shared humanity that transcended the vast differences in their lives. It was an odd feeling, a quiet warmth in the aftermath of the storm, a flicker of something good amidst the gloom. She knew the pressures of her career would return, but for now, she held on to the unexpected peace Arthur had brought her. The next morning, the brief respite from her worries faded as the harsh light of reality seeped back into Sarah's world. The quiet calm from her encounter with Arthur was replaced by the familiar knot of anxiety in her stomach. Her phone buzzed, and she saw her agent's name on the screen. She took a deep breath before answering, already bracing herself for the conversation. "Sarah, we need to talk," her agent, Mark, said, his voice tight with concern. "Your last few performances, they haven't been up to par. The numbers are down and the office is noticing." Sarah listened in silence, her grip tightening on the phone. She knew this was coming, but hearing it out loud still felt like a punch to the gut. Mark continued, his tone softening slightly, but still firm. "Look, they're not happy. Your contract renewal is coming up, and frankly, it's not looking good right now. You have one more match, Sarah. It's against the Dominator next week. You have to win it. If you don't, I don't know what to tell you. Your job is on the line." The words hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. An ultimatum. Win, or her career in the WWE was over. The fear that had been lurking beneath the surface now exploded, consuming her thoughts. She mumbled a quick goodbye to Mark and hung up, the silence of her apartment suddenly deafening. The brief, almost magical connection she felt with Arthur the night before seemed like a distant dream, completely overshadowed by the stark reality of her professional life. Driven by desperation and a raw, primal fear of failure, Sarah threw herself into her training with an intensity she hadn't known she possessed. She pushed her body to its absolute limits, spending hours in the gym until her muscles screamed in protest. Every lift, every run, every sparring session was fueled by the terrifying image of her career slipping away. Sweat poured down her face as she gritted her teeth, forcing herself through one more rep, one more set, long after her body begged her to stop. She sparred with her training partners, pushing them and herself harder, her movements becoming sharper, more aggressive. She was a machine, driven by a single desperate goal. But the grueling regimen took a heavy toll, both physically and mentally. Her body ached constantly, a dull, persistent pain that never fully went away. Sleep offered little relief, as her mind raced with strategies, fears, and doubts. She found herself replaying her recent losses over and over, dissecting every mistake, every missed opportunity. The memories haunted her, eroding her confidence, whispering insidious suggestions that she wasn't good enough, that her time was truly over. Her focus, usually razor-sharp, was now fractured, constantly battling the internal noise of her anxieties. She felt a constant, low-level hum of exhaustion, a weariness that seeped into her bones. Adding to her torment were the taunts from her upcoming opponent, the Dominator. Known for her aggressive in-ring style and even more aggressive mind games, the Dominator wasted no time in publicly belittling Sarah. Social media was flooded with the Dominator's posts, mocking Sarah's declining performance, questioning her heart, and declaring that Sarah was washed up. In interviews, the Dominator smirked into the camera, confidently stating that Sarah was just a stepping stone, an easy win on her path to the top. Each taunt, each sneer, felt like another stab at Sarah's already fragile confidence. She tried to ignore them, to rise above the noise, but the words burrowed into her mind, echoing her own deepest fears. It was hard to pretend they didn't affect her when she herself was questioning everything. The immense pressure began to strain her personal life as well. She found herself withdrawing from her few close friends and even her family, unable to articulate the depth of her professional crisis. Every conversation felt like an interrogation. Every casual question about her career, a painful reminder of her impending downfall. She became withdrawn, isolated, consumed by the all-encompassing fear of losing everything she had worked for. Her relationships, once a source of comfort and support, now felt like another burden, another expectation she couldn't meet. The loneliness was profound, a heavy blanket that made her feel even smaller, more insignificant. In the quiet moments, usually late at night when the gym was empty and her apartment silent, the self-doubt deepened into an abyss. She questioned her abilities, wondering if she had ever truly belonged in the WWE, if her initial success had just been a fluke. Was she really a superstar, or just a pretender waiting to be exposed? The passion that had once burned so brightly, the love for the roar of the crowd, and the thrill of competition, felt like a distant ember, flickering precariously. She wondered if she should just give up, spare herself the inevitable humiliation. The thought was fleeting but persistent, a dark shadow at the edge of her consciousness. Then, for a brief, almost imperceptible moment, a fleeting thought of Arthur, the old man in the rain, would surface. It was a strange contrast, a gentle memory amidst the storm of her despair. She remembered his quiet dignity, his simple gratitude, the unexpected peace he had brought her.
Only neurological overactivity, as if the brain itself were tuning. Their last word was always the same: return. The ecclesiarchy forbade further investigation. The word was recast as symbolic devotion, a synonym for repentance. But in the corridors where servants whispered, it took on another meaning: recall. Cordain could not sleep. The hum followed him, even through silence. It pulsed through his desk, his skin, the veins beneath his augmetic eye. He summoned the Mechanicus liaison, hoping for empirical reassurance. The Magos arrived already, smiling. "You feel it too," he said. "Proof that the communion works." Cordain demanded clarification. The Magos spoke reverently. "The spirit you call Emperor, the code we call Machine, they are no longer separate." His vox grill crackled. "We have merged the faiths at last." Cordain ordered him executed. The next morning, the Magos replacement arrived, identical in voice and manner, reciting the same words, verbatim. When the guards tried to remove him, they froze, faces serene, eyes glazed with reflected light. Cordain fled to the archives. The Grand Cogitator pulsed with the same rhythm as the hum. The data feed translated itself into scripture, millions of lines repeating one verse. Transit nominal, spirit holding firm, he tore the cables free. But the sound did not stop. It was no longer coming from the machine. It was coming from below. The floor vibrated, the stone sweating condensation that smelled faintly of the sea. Cordain knelt, praying, not to the Emperor, not even to be saved, but for the noise to end. It did, for one heartbeat, then it resumed, faster. On distant worlds, the same pattern repeated, bells tolling in perfect unison across light years, choirs synchronizing without command, shipyards reporting spontaneous reactivation of derelicts, each broadcasting the same line of Vox code, awaiting orders. The Auditum Fidei marked the phenomenon as mass devotion event, the largest since the age of apostasy. Celebrations were declared, pilgrimages multiplied. No one noticed the stars flicker in the same rhythm, as if the galaxy itself had begun to breathe, once, twice, then waiting. They named it the recommissioning. Not a miracle, not heresy, merely procedure. The administratum decreed that the recovered vessel, sanctified by centuries of containment, was fit once more for duty. Under a new designation, Gloria ex Tenebris, it joined the Emperor's fleets. Its hull shone with fresh gold leaf, its vox relays purified with hymns, its log reset to 0. No one spoke of its previous name. The bureaucratic litany buried the truth beneath layers of forms and blessings, until nothing remained but obedience. Thousands boarded for the voyage, officers, deckhands, priests, and pilgrims seeking indulgence through service. They came with hope, disguised as routine, whispering that the ship was lucky, untouched by warp, storm, or decay. The Mechanicus assured them that every
foundations of the arena. The Dominator, with her usual arrogant swagger, soaked it all in. A smug grin plastered across her face. She looked powerful, unbeatable, every inch the champion she claimed to be. Sarah felt a fresh wave of anxiety wash over her, a cold dread that tightened her stomach. The contrast between their receptions was stark, a clear indicator of who the crowd believed would win. As the Dominator stepped into the ring, she locked eyes with Sarah. It was a brief, intense stare-down, a silent challenge that spoke volumes. The Dominator's gaze was full of contempt and absolute certainty, a look that said, "You don't belong here anymore." Sarah tried to hold her ground, to return the stare with equal intensity, but she felt a tremor of fear run through her. The bell rang, a sharp, piercing sound that cut through the arena, signaling the start of the match. There was no turning back now. The Dominator started strong, just as Sarah had expected. She was a powerhouse, relying on brute strength and aggressive tackles. The initial phase of the match was a blur of powerful blows and relentless attacks. The Dominator seemed to be everywhere, driving Sarah into the corner, delivering bone-jarring slams, and showing no mercy. Sarah found herself on the defensive almost immediately, struggling to find her rhythm, absorbing blow after blow. Each impact sent a shockwave of pain through her body, making it harder to think, harder to breathe. She tried to counter, to use her agility. But the Dominator's offense was overwhelming. The crowd's reaction didn't help. They were completely captivated by the Dominator's dominance, their cheers growing louder with every successful move she landed. Sarah could hear their anticipation, their excitement for her downfall. It made her feel even more isolated, like she was fighting not just her opponent, but the entire arena. Doubt began to creep back in, whispering that she was right, that she was finished, that she couldn't keep up. For a brief moment, a flicker of her old self broke through. Sarah managed to land a few effective moves, a quick succession of strikes, and a well-placed dropkick that briefly sent the Dominator reeling. The crowd let out a surprised gasp, a few scattered cheers mixing with the dominant boos. For a second, a tiny spark of hope rekindled within her. Maybe she could do this. Maybe she wasn't finished. She felt a surge of adrenaline pushing through the pain, believing she could turn the tide. But the Dominator was too strong, too determined. She quickly regained control, her eyes blazing with renewed fury. She caught Sarah with a devastating clothesline, a powerful blow that sent her crashing to the mat. The impact knocked the wind out of Sarah, leaving her dazed and disoriented. She lay there, the light spinning above her, the referee beginning the count. 1, 2, 3. Her mind was flooded with images, a rapid-fire montage of her recent losses, her agent's grim face, the words contract renewal hanging like a death sentence. This was it, wasn't it? This was the end. The looming threat of losing her job, of her career being over, felt like a physical weight pressing down on her. The crowd's roar was deafening, a mix of anticipation for the Dominator's victory and concern for Sarah's condition. She struggled to push past the pain, to clear her head, to find the strength to move. Her body screamed in protest, every muscle aching, every bone protesting. Just get up, she told herself. Just get up. But it felt impossible. The mat felt like a magnet, holding her down, pulling her into the darkness of defeat. Sarah barely managed to roll over, pushing herself up onto her hands and knees. Her vision was blurry, and a dull ache throbbed behind her eyes. The referee was still counting, his voice a distant echo in her ringing ears. 4, 5, 6. Each number felt like a hammer blow, driving her deeper into despair. She pushed harder, her muscles screaming in protest, until she was shakily on one knee. Her opponent, the Dominator, stood over her, a sneer plastered across her sweaty face. "Give up, siren," she spat, her voice dripping with contempt. "You don't belong here anymore. It's over." The words, though expected, still stung, twisting the knife in Sarah's already raw emotions. The referee moved closer, his hand raised, ready to signal the end of the match. 7, 8. Sarah's chest heaved, every breath a struggle. She forced herself to stand, swaying slightly, her legs feeling like jelly. The Dominator lunged again, aiming for a finishing blow, a powerful kick to the midsection. Sarah barely managed to raise her arm to block it, the impact jarring her whole body. She stumbled back, hitting the ropes, her body screaming for her to just fall, to give in. The Dominator closed in again, her eyes gleaming with predatory triumph. She grabbed Sarah's arm, twisting it painfully, preparing for another slam. Sarah knew this was it. She was done. Her body had nothing left. In that moment of desperation, her gaze, almost unconsciously, drifted away from the snarling face of her opponent, past the referee, and swept across the sea of faces in the front row. The arena lights, though blinding, picked out individual figures. And then she saw him. Arthur, the old man she had helped in the rain, sitting there, in the very first row. He wasn't shouting, wasn't waving a sign, wasn't even cheering. He was just sitting there, his hands clasped in front of him, watching her. His face held a quiet intensity, a look of calm understanding that cut through the chaos of the arena like a beacon. The noise of the crowd, the taunts of the dominator, the throbbing pain in her head, all of it seemed to fade into the background. All she could focus on was Arthur. A sudden, unexpected wave of clarity washed over her. It was like someone had hit a reset button in her brain. The memory of that rainy night, of pulling over, of seeing his frail form struggling against the storm, of the simple gratitude in his eyes, it all flooded back. Her act of kindness, a small, selfless gesture in a world that often felt selfish and brutal, suddenly felt more real, more important than anything happening in the ring right now. It was a moment of pure, unadulterated humanity, a stark contrast to the cutthroat world she inhabited. Arthur's eyes met hers. He offered a small, gentle nod. It wasn't a fan's roaring encouragement or a coach's frantic instructions. It was something deeper, something profoundly personal. It was a silent acknowledgement of their shared moment, a quiet reassurance that resonated deep within her. It was as if he was telling her, without words, that he believed in her, not as the siren, the struggling superstar, but as Sarah, the person who had stopped to help a stranger. That simple, almost imperceptible gesture, that quiet show of support, sparked something within Sarah that she hadn't realized was missing. It wasn't anger, or fear, or even desperation that filled her now. It was a quiet strength, a renewed sense of purpose that had nothing to do with winning or losing, but everything to do with who she was. The noise of the arena, which had moments ago been deafening, now seemed distant. The pain in her body, though still present, receded to a dull throb. Her focus shifted, not on the dominator's taunts or the fear of job loss, but on the simple act of fighting, of not giving up. It was a fight for herself, for that quiet dignity she had seen in Arthur, for the person she wanted to be, regardless of the outcome. The fear of failure, which had been a suffocating blanket, lifted, replaced by a quiet, fierce resolve. She wouldn't just give up. Not now, not after that. With this new resolve burning within her, Sarah pushed through the pain. Her movements, which had been sluggish and defensive moments before, now carried a sudden, unexpected power. She used the momentum from the dominator's grip to twist free, surprising her opponent. Instead of falling back, Sarah launched forward, delivering a quick, sharp elbow to the dominator's jaw. The blow snapped the dominator's head back, and for the first time in the match, she looked genuinely surprised, even a little shaken. The crowd, which had been murmuring with concern moments ago, let out a collective gasp. A few scattered cheers erupted, quickly growing louder as Sarah followed up with a flurry of strikes. She moved with an agility that belied her earlier exhaustion, ducking under a wild swing from the dominator, and landing a powerful kick to her midsection. The dominator stumbled back, trying to regain her footing, her earlier swagger completely gone. Sarah wasn't just reacting anymore. She was dictating the pace. She cornered the dominator against the ropes, unleashing a series of rapid-fire chops to the chest that echoed through the arena. The dominator tried to push back, but Sarah's renewed strength seemed to overwhelm her. The look of overconfidence on the dominator's face transformed into one of genuine frustration. She had underestimated Sarah, had seen her as an easy target, and now she was paying for it. Her taunts, which had been so cutting earlier, were replaced by grunts of effort and pain. The arena was now fully alive, the energy shifting dramatically. The boos that had greeted Sarah earlier were now drowned out by thunderous cheers. Every punch, every kick, every slam she delivered was met with an explosion of sound from the audience. They sensed the change, the comeback, and they were completely invested. Sarah, fueled by their energy and her own inner fire, felt an almost superhuman surge. She executed a perfect snap suplex, hoisting the Dominator high into the air before slamming her down onto the canvas with a resounding thud. The referee immediately began a count, but the Dominator, though clearly hurt, managed to kick out at 2. Sarah didn't let up. She moved with a calculated precision, drawing on years of training that had been obscured by her recent self-doubt. She climbed to the second rope, eyeing the Dominator, who was slowly pushing herself up. With a powerful leap, Sarah launched herself, connecting with a flying crossbody that took both wrestlers down. The crowd roared. It was a thrilling, back-and-forth battle, but the momentum was undeniably with Sarah now. She was fighting not just to win, but to prove something to herself, to Arthur, to everyone who had doubted her. The Dominator, desperate, tried to resort to her old tactics, attempting to rake Sarah's eyes, but Sarah blocked her, her focus unwavering. She grabbed the Dominator by the arm, twisting it, and then transitioned into her signature submission hold, the Siren's Embrace. She locked it in tight, applying immense pressure. The Dominator screamed, struggling valiantly, trying to reach the ropes, but Sarah held on, her muscles straining. The Dominator's face contorted in pain, her body writhing. The referee knelt beside them, checking if the Dominator would tap out. The crowd was on its feet, chanting Sarah's name. "Siren! Siren! Siren!" The sound was deafening, a wave of support that washed over Sarah, giving her that final push. The Dominator's struggles weakened, her movements becoming more frantic and less effective. She knew she was caught. With a final, desperate gasp, the Dominator tapped out. The referee immediately signaled for the bell. The piercing sound cut through the roar of the crowd, announcing Sarah's victory. An overwhelming wave of relief, so profound it almost buckled her knees, washed over Sarah. She released the hold, her arms trembling from the exertion. She slowly pushed herself up, her chest heaving, sweat dripping from her forehead. The pain was still there, a dull ache throughout her body, but it was overshadowed by the sheer exhilaration of the win. The arena erupted. Confetti cannons blasted, showering the ring in a cascade of color. Sarah raised her arms high above her head, a genuine, triumphant smile breaking across her face. Tears, hot and unexpected, welled in her eyes. These weren't tears of sadness or fear, but of pure, unadulterated joy and vindication. She had done it. She had fought back from the brink, not just for her job, but for herself. She looked towards the front row, searching for Arthur, and saw him standing, offering a quiet, proud smile. His hands were still clasped, but his eyes held a warmth that spoke volumes. It was a victory not just for her career, but for her spirit. Sarah stood in the center of the ring, bathed in the multicolored light of the arena. The cheers of the crowd, a symphony in her ears. The confetti swirled around her, sticking to her sweaty skin and hair. She felt a profound sense of accomplishment, a weight lifted from her shoulders that had been crushing her for weeks. Her body ached, every muscle screaming in protest, but the pain was a sweet reminder of the effort she had just put in. She took a deep breath, letting the moment soak in. This wasn't just a win, it was a reclamation. She had faced her fears, pushed past her doubts, and come out stronger. She bowed to the four sides of the arena, acknowledging the roaring fans who had just witnessed her incredible comeback. Their energy had been a vital part of her victory, a force that had pushed her when she thought she had nothing left. As she made her way towards the ropes, preparing to exit the ring, her eyes instinctively scanned the front row. She found Arthur still standing, a gentle, knowing smile on his face. He didn't cheer wildly like the others, but his quiet, sustained applause felt more meaningful than any roar. It was a silent acknowledgement of their shared moment, a bond forged in a rainy night and solidified in the heat of battle. Sarah met his gaze and offered a small, heartfelt nod, a silent thank you that conveyed the depth of her gratitude. She knew, without a doubt, that his presence had been the turning point. Backstage, the atmosphere was electric. Her agent, a man usually prone to dramatic despair, met her with a wide, relieved grin. "Sarah, you did it. You absolutely did it. That was incredible. The phone's already ringing off the hook. The contract's as good as signed, sweetheart. You saved your job, and then some." He clapped her on the back, his excitement almost palpable. Relief washed over Sarah again, a physical sensation that made her knees feel weak. The fear of unemployment, of her dreams crumbling, had been a constant companion, and now it was gone. Her colleagues, even those who had been quick to criticize her recently, offered genuine congratulations. Wrestlers she respected, who had seen her struggles firsthand, gave her knowing smiles and words of encouragement. "Great match, Siren," one said. "You showed them what you're made of." Another clapped her on the shoulder. "Never doubted you for a second." Sarah knew some of them probably had, but their words still felt good. The vindication was sweet, a taste of success that was far more satisfying than she had imagined. She felt a lightness in her step, a freedom she hadn't experienced in months. As the initial rush of celebration began to subside, and Sarah was heading towards the locker room, a distinguished-looking man in a sharp suit approached her. He had a calm, authoritative presence, and Sarah recognized him as one of the senior WWE executives, a man who rarely made public appearances. He smiled warmly. "Sarah, that was an extraordinary performance, truly inspiring." "Thank you, sir," Sarah replied, a little out of breath. The executive's smile widened. "I just wanted to introduce you to someone and explain a little something." He gestured subtly towards the area where Arthur had been sitting, though Arthur was no longer visible. "You know, the gentleman you helped out in the rain the other night?" "Arthur?" Sarah's eyes widened slightly. "Yes, of course. He was here tonight. I saw him." The executive nodded slowly. "Indeed he was, and his presence here was significant. Arthur, my dear, is Arthur Vance." The name hung in the air, resonating with a quiet power. Sarah blinked, a slow dawning of realization spreading across her face. Arthur Vance. The name was legendary in wrestling circles, spoken with reverence, almost like a myth. He was a pioneer, a visionary, a man who had shaped the very foundations of the industry. A former promoter, a brilliant trainer, a mentor to countless champions. He had quietly retired years ago, disappearing from public life, but his influence still echoed through the halls of every arena. He was a living legend, a figure of immense respect and quiet power. "Arthur Vance," Sarah whispered, the words barely audible. She felt a jolt go through her, a rush of understanding that connected all the dots. The old man, walking alone in the rain, with his broken umbrella, the quiet dignity, the gentle nod, the subtle encouragement, it all made sense now. His presence wasn't just a happy coincidence. It was a deliberate act. The executive continued, his voice soft. Yes, he's been living a very private life for decades. Rarely attends any events, but he called me this morning, after you dropped him off. He spoke very highly of you, Sarah. Said you had a good heart, and that the company would be foolish to let someone with your talent and character slip away, especially when you were going through a rough patch. Sarah felt a wave of emotions wash over her. Shock, profound gratitude, and a sense of awe. Her act of kindness, a simple, spontaneous gesture, had been seen by a man who held immense sway, a man who had silently advocated for her when she needed it most. Her gratitude towards Arthur deepened, transforming into an almost overwhelming respect. He hadn't just been a kind old man. He had been a guardian angel, a silent force working on her behalf. She understood now. Arthur Vance hadn't just come to watch a match. He had come to support her, to remind her of her own worth, and to subtly ensure that those in power recognized it too. His presence wasn't about the spectacle of wrestling. It was about character, about recognizing potential, and about the quiet power of human connection. The deeper meaning of her win, of her entire career, suddenly became clearer. It wasn't just about athletic prowess or dazzling moves. It was about the kind of person she was, both inside and outside the ring. The executive's words confirmed everything. Arthur's quiet influence, his simple act of acknowledging her character, had played a pivotal role in saving her job. It was a revelation that would forever change her perspective. The next day, a message reached Sarah backstage. It wasn't from her agent or from the usual WWE staff. It was a request from Arthur himself, relayed through the executive. Arthur Vance wanted to meet her privately. Sarah's heart pounded a little faster. She was nervous, of course. Meeting a legend like Arthur Vance, especially after everything that had happened, felt like a huge deal. But there was also a deep eagerness. She wanted to thank him properly, to understand more about his quiet intervention. The executive had arranged for them to meet in a small private lounge backstage, a quiet space away from the usual noise and chaos of the arena. When Sarah walked in, Arthur was already there, sitting comfortably in an armchair, a gentle smile on his face. He looked much more rested and at ease than he had that rainy night. He greeted her warmly, his eyes twinkling with a kind of knowing wisdom. "Sarah," he said, his voice soft but clear. "Congratulations on your victory last night. You fought well." Sarah mumbled her thanks, still feeling a bit overwhelmed. "Mr. Vance, I don't know what to say. Thank you for everything." Arthur waved a hand dismissively. "There's no need for thanks, my dear. I simply saw potential and a good heart, something I've always valued in this business." He leaned forward slightly. "You know, I've been watching you for a while, even before our little encounter in the rain. I saw the fire in you, the natural talent, but I also saw the pressure building, the way the industry can sometimes wear down even the strongest spirits." He paused, letting his words sink in. "Your recent slump, it wasn't about a lack of skill. It was about something deeper, a struggle within yourself. I've seen it countless times in this world. It's easy to lose sight of who you are when everyone is telling you who you should be." He looked at her directly. "When you helped me that night, I saw kindness that ran deeper than any wrestling persona. It reminded me of what truly matters, and I knew then that you needed a little push, a reminder of your own worth, not just as a wrestler, but as a person." Arthur then explained how he had called the executive that morning, After she had dropped him off, he had expressed his concerns about Sarah, highlighting her talent and character. He had told the executive that her recent performance issues were clearly mental, not physical, and that letting her go would be a grave mistake. The executive, as Sarah now knew, had listened. Arthur's words carried immense weight in the company, even in his retirement. His presence at the match, a rare public appearance for him, had been a deliberate, subtle act. He wanted to be there, not just to observe, but to offer a quiet, unspoken intervention, a reminder to Sarah that someone believed in her, not just as a performer, but as a human being. My presence was meant to be a quiet reminder, Arthur continued, that there are values beyond the ring: kindness, resilience, inner strength. These are the things that make a true champion, Sarah, not just the wins and losses. He emphasized that true champions are not merely defined by their victories, but by their character, by how they treat others, and by the integrity they carry, both inside and outside the squared circle. Sarah felt tears welling in her eyes, a mix of gratitude and a profound sense of understanding. Arthur's words resonated deeply within her. She realized the immense impact her small, spontaneous act of kindness had truly made. It hadn't just been a good deed, it had, unknowingly, saved her career. More than that, it had given her a new perspective, a profound lesson about the interconnectedness of things and the power of genuine human connection. Her passion for wrestling, which had felt so fragile and burdened just days before, was now reignited, but with a new, deeper understanding of its meaning. It wasn't just about the physical fight anymore. It was about the spirit, the character, and the values she brought to the ring. Arthur then offered her something that surprised her even more. "Sarah," he said, his smile widening slightly, "I believe you have an incredible future ahead of you. Not just as a wrestler, but as a leader, as an inspiration. If you're willing, I'd like to offer you my mentorship, not just in wrestling techniques, though I can certainly help there, but in life, in understanding the nuances of this business, and in leadership." Sarah didn't hesitate for a second. "Yes," she breathed, her voice thick with emotion. "Yes, Mr. Vance. I would be honored." She saw in him not just a legend, but a guiding light, a symbol of integrity and wisdom that she desperately wanted to learn from. Their connection, forged in a brief, rainy encounter and solidified by a silent act of support, deepened into a bond that promised to shape Sarah's future in the WWE and far beyond the wrestling world. She knew, with absolute certainty, that her journey had just taken a profound and unexpected turn, all because of a moment of simple kindness. Sarah, the Siren Jenkins, became more than just a formidable force in WWE. She transformed into an icon, her name synonymous not only with unparalleled skill and athleticism, but also with unwavering sportsmanship and profound humility. Under Arthur's quiet guidance, she refined her craft, her matches becoming masterclasses in both power and technical prowess. The fear that once shadowed her performances completely vanished, replaced by a calm confidence that radiated from within. She didn't just win. She captivated. She inspired. The crowd, once fickle, now roared her name with genuine admiration, sensing a depth to her character that transcended the theatrics of the ring. She went on to win multiple championships, each title a testament to her dedication and the wisdom she absorbed from Arthur. Her name was etched into the annals of WWE history, not merely as a champion, but as a legend who redefined what it meant to be a superstar. Sarah became a beacon for countless fans and aspiring wrestlers, a living embodiment of the values Arthur had so subtly instilled in her. She showed them that true strength wasn't just about physical power, but about integrity, kindness, and the courage to stay true to oneself, even in the most intense spotlights. Arthur, though never stepping back into the public eye in a significant way, remained a revered figure, a silent architect of success from the sidelines. His wisdom, particularly for Sarah, was invaluable. He was her sounding board, her quiet confidant, always there to offer a perspective that cut through the noise and pressure of the wrestling world. His legacy, once a whispered legend among old-timers, became intertwined with Sarah's meteoric rise. Their story became a powerful narrative, a living testament to the profound power of kindness and the enduring impact of a truly selfless mentorship. It highlighted how a simple, genuine act of humanity could ripple outwards, shaping destinies and influencing an entire industry. Years later, the WWE, recognizing the immense, often unseen, contributions of individuals like Arthur, established a prestigious new award. It was named the Arthur Vance Award, honoring wrestlers who demonstrated exceptional character, unwavering commitment to their communities, and an integrity that shone both inside and outside the ring. Sarah, of course, was the first recipient. Her acceptance speech, a heartfelt tribute to the man who had changed her life. The award became one of the most coveted honors in the industry, symbolizing the very essence of what Arthur Vance stood for. The story of Sarah and Arthur became a powerful reminder of how a single, seemingly insignificant act of kindness could have unforeseen and truly profound consequences. It wasn't just about a wrestler saving her job. It was about the ripple effect of genuine human connection. Their journey highlighted that true strength and success extended far beyond mere physical prowess or strategic victories. It was rooted in empathy, in compassion, and in the courage to act with kindness, even when it seemed inconvenient or irrelevant. Sarah's career became a powerful narrative about finding one's moral compass in a high-pressure, competitive world, proving that character truly mattered. Their bond blossomed into a deep and enduring friendship, built on mutual respect, profound gratitude, and an unspoken understanding that transcended their age difference and professional roles. They continued to share quiet conversations, often over coffee, Arthur offering his seasoned advice, Sarah sharing her triumphs and challenges, always seeking his perspective. He was more than a mentor. He was family. Their relationship stood as a beautiful, compelling example of intergenerational connection, illustrating the unexpected and powerful ways lives can intertwine, creating something far richer and more meaningful than either could have imagined. The enduring message of their story echoed through the halls of WWE and beyond. It was a powerful thought, a quiet but firm declaration about the importance of looking beyond oneself, of extending a hand to those in need, and the extraordinary impact such simple actions could have. It was a message that resonated through generations and careers, teaching that every moment, every interaction, held the potential for profound change. The video concluded with this inspiring reflection, encouraging viewers to consider their own acts of kindness, both big and small, and to ponder their potential ripple effects. It left the audience with a profound sense of hope, inspiration, and the unwavering belief that good deeds, truly, are always rewarded, often in the most unexpected and life-changing ways. Sarah's journey was not just a wrestling story. It was a human story, a testament to the quiet power of compassion,